Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III reveals expected signing of bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwaiti governments in March. The Department of Trade and Industry warns of danger of substandard appliances as it inspects bargain centers in Raon, Manila. And a lawmaker proposes increase of buying price of rice from farmers to 18 pesos and donation of smuggled rice as solution to depletion of rice buffer stock. Wine News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. The technical working group of the Kuwaiti government will arrive tomorrow in the Philippines to discuss with the Duterte administration the contents of the proposed bilateral agreement on OFW protection. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says the Philippines and Kuwait might sign the said agreement by March of this year. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III confirms in an interview on the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon that the technical working group sent by the Kuwaiti government will arrive in the Philippines tomorrow morning. The Labor Secretary says he is also set to visit Kuwait to ensure that the two countries will push for the implementation of a bilateral agreement that seeks to protect the rights and welfare of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in the Arab nation.
Binigyan ko yung team ko ng 2 days. In 2 days time tapusin yan, gusto naman nila, ako naman pupunta sa Kuwait. Sabi ko, sige pupunta ako, basta sigurado nyo lang hindi nyo ako plaplansyahin din.
Bello also ensures that the said bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwait will be signed next month.
So, we're expecting at least by March, malaman natin, pipirmahan nyo ba? Hindi.
Pipirmahan na namin. No? Magpapadala ba naman silang tao dito? Ano? Fairness, yung ambassador nila, 3 beses nang pumunta sa opisina.
The labor chief notes he appreciates the efforts of the Kuwaiti government to give justice to the death of killed OFW Joanna de Mafelis, especially now that the Philippine government has declared a total deployment ban on OFWs. He explains the president is also mandated not to lift the total deployment ban until there is no sure agreement between the two countries that should ensure the protection of Filipino migrant workers in the Gulf state.
Sa totoo lang, pag wala lang yung mga Pilipino doon, maparalyze ang buong Kuwait. Natakot sila nung nagdeklara si Presidente ng total ban. Naku, nagdeklara agad sila ng amnesty.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Labor and Employment might cancel or suspend the license of 55 recruitment agencies in the country. Meanwhile, the suspects in the killing of OFW Joanna de Mafelis might face murder charges. Maris Pederes will tell us why.
The employers allegedly responsible for the killing of overseas Filipino worker Joanna de Mafelis might face heavy punishment.
I understand, unconfirmed pa naman ng report na sasampan daw ng kasong murder at pag na-convict, bitay.
The Philippines is now waiting for the next step of the Kuwaiti government after the arrest of the former employers of the Mafelis, who are also the principal suspects in the crime. The male suspect is now under the custody of the Lebanese authorities, while his Syrian wife is under serious custody.
I-extradite yan.
Dadalhin sa
Dadalhin yan sa Kuwait dahil doon naganap ang krimen eh.
Okay, so may extradition treaty yung dalawa.
Siguro naman, magkabarkada mga yan eh.
The Philippine Labor Department vows to closely monitor the development of the case. Meanwhile, DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III confirms they are now investigating 55 recruitment agencies. Bello says DOLE will look into the possible violations committed by the said agencies in the recruitment and deployment of OFWs to various countries. It can be recalled that DOLE initially canceled the license of 11 recruitment agencies after the news of the death of the Mafelis made headlines.
Kaya nga sinisisi namin yung mga agencies dito eh. Kasi yung mga agencies natin dito, pagkatapos mag-recruit, ma-deploy, pinababayaan na nila yung ating overseas worker. Kaya kailan lang nag-cancela kami ng lisensya ng 11 na recruitment agencies.
Bello also calls on the public to transact only with legitimate recruitment agencies to avoid falling prey to illegal recruiters.
Alam ko maganda yung mga ibang bansa, makahanap ng trabaho, medyo mataas-taas ang sweldo. Pero pag pumatol kayo sa illegal recruiter, in all probability, kawawa kapag dating mo doon.
Maris Federes, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Malacanang denies President Rodrigo Duterte has reneged on his promise to end contractualization in the country. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Roque said the president is still studying the issue. That is why he could not immediately give what the labor groups have been asking. The president said in his speech in Davao City yesterday that he cannot force all investors in the country to not have contractualization.
I don't think that I can really give them all kasi hindi na natin mapilit yung mga kapitalista na so something of a compromise must be maybe acceptable to everybody.
I don't think he has retreated. He has asked for more time to study the matter, and that's what he's doing now.
The Department of Trade and Industry conducted a surprise inspection in Raon, Manila, where home appliances are sold at a cheaper price. Here's why from Joan Nano.
The personnel of the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, conducted another inspection in several appliance stores in Raon in Manila today. This after it received a complaint that some of the appliances being sold there did not undergo product safety inspections. The agency examined one by one the on-display TV, DVD players, speakers, and other appliances to determine if they have proper and the correct markings or label. The DTI also discovered that some of the products have no import commodity and product standard sticker.
Ito ay pwedeng maging sanhi na kapahamakan ng ating mga pamilya. Siyempre, hindi natin masasabi ang wattage nito o adaptable sa ating mga bahay at baka maging sanhi ng sakuna. At yung kalidad din siyempre po niya, dapat pumasa siya.
The DTI also did an inventory on the said appliances and temporarily confiscated them to determine if they are substandard. Meanwhile, the agency conducted inspections at several supermarkets to determine if they follow the suggested retail price or SRP. DTI inspected, among others, the prices of powdered and canned milk, sardines, meatloaf, and noodles. Based on DTI's analysis, the existing tax reform law has no impact yet on the prices of major commodities.
Hindi po ganong kalaki ang epekto nito sa ating mga basic necessities and prime commodities product kasi meron lamang po limited items na nasasaklawan nito.
Despite this, the DTI vows to continuously monitor price movements to ensure that no businessman will attempt to take unfair advantage of the prices of commodities. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Senator Cynthia Villar wants to increase to 18 pesos per kilo the price of rice procured from farmers. Here's why from May Bermudez.
It was March last year when the National Food Authority recognized that the NFA is no longer reaching its 15-day buffer stock requirement. On February 4, the agency issued a press release saying NFA stocks are running out and will only last until April. In today's Senate hearing, some senators say this has caused panic and increase in the price of rice.
Hindi yung pagkababa ng stock, pero yung pagka-press release ng pagkababa ng stock yung nag-create ng pagtaas ng presyo. Is that what you're saying?
Parang ganun po nagpanic. If you look at the statistics po, ganun pong nangyari. The week after that press release, nag-shoot po ang prices.
From the previous 27 pesos, prices of NFA rice jacked up to 42 pesos per kilo now. The Senate Committee on Agriculture recommends increasing the buying price to 18 pesos per kilo while waiting for the end of harvest season in June.
We're recommending that they increase the buying price to 18. That's one way. And then we're asking them to request the president to issue an executive order to give to NFA those smuggled rice na nasa port.
We recommended an increase of support price from 17 pesos to 22 pesos. So that we can buy from the farmers. Siguro makapag-compete na kami with the traders, but the council disapproved it.
The Department of Agriculture also clarifies that there is no rice shortage in the country, as the overall buffer stock is projected to reach 3 million metric tons after the first quarter.
There is no shortage in rice. There is shortage in the buffer stock of NFA. We have to be clear on that. Nagpapanik ang mga tao pag sinabi niyong shortage.
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology has changed the requirement in choosing the third telco player. Here's why from Monokson.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology has set aside the 10 billion peso minimum committed investment requirement for the bidding process in choosing the third telco player. Instead of committed investment, the DICT will base the qualifications on the kind of service the new telco can offer for the next 5 years. The DICT will offer a performance bond every year, depending on the quality of service the third telco can offer. The department says that it must be at par with the service offered in other countries or of world-class standard. Whoever can commit the best quality service will be chosen as the new telco player.
Hindi na yung pera ang aming tinitingnan, but yung actual committed rollout mo.
If it failed to give the committed service, the rights will be given to the second-in-rank bidder. Interested telcos are confident that they can give world-class service. However, they say that it is inevitable that a big amount of money is needed to offer the best service to the public.
It's possible. With the frequencies, we're given 300 megahertz. 300 megahertz na available exclusively for the third telco is okay.
Meanwhile, President Duterte approves the deadline for determining the third telco to be moved from this month to May. It is expected that in the first week of June, a new telco player will have been chosen, and this will end the duopoly in the industry of telecommunications in the country. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Mayon Crisis Management Team prepares the four towns of Albay now that the onset of the rainy season is drawing near. Joanano will tell us why.
The possible flowing of lahar from around the Mayon volcano during the onset of the rainy season might hit 26 barangays in 4 towns of the province of Albay. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, the volcanic materials deposited around the Mayon volcano might reach 90 cubic meters. And once the rainy season comes, it might flow in the towns of Guinobatan, Camalig, Daraga, and Santo Domingo. This is why as early as now, the Mayon Crisis Management Team has been asking officials of the said towns to prepare disaster plans in the event of a lahar flow.
Ganitong kaaga pa lang pagplanuhan na ito.
Officials of the Office of the Civil Defense, DENR, DOH, DSWD, and DPWH are among those who will outline the disaster plan. The mayors target to submit their respective plans by next week. Meanwhile, PHIVOLCS has recorded in the past 24 hours 2 incidents of lava fountaining as high as 150 meters and steam plumes reaching 100 to 600 meters high. The agency also recorded 7 lava collapse or pyroclastic density currents or USON, 128 volcanic earthquakes, and 12 rock pool events. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Transportation launched what it calls the Sumbong Bulok, Sumbong Usok hotline today. Joanano will tell us why.
Aside from traffic law enforcers conducting apprehensions of old and dilapidated public utility vehicles, the public may now cooperate with the efforts of the Department of Transportation or DOTR and Interagency Council for Traffic or IAC through the hotline the two agencies launched called the Sumbong Bulok Sumbong Usok hotline. By sending a message, photos or videos through the digital chat box hotline, the public can now access the Facebook and Messenger account of IAC. Anyone can now report drivers of smoke belching, dilapidated and colorum public utility vehicles. They may also report illegally parked vehicles as well as vendors in prohibited areas.
Within end of day, kailangan makapag-respond na kami doon sa nagpadala. So, which means in 24 hours dapat may response mechanism na.
The DOTR explains that the hotline is another way of helping their traffic law enforcers immediately apprehending erring motorists.
Nagdadagdag tayo ng mga mekanismo na kung saan yung taong bayan ay maging kasama, katulong sa pagbabago sa kalye.
The agency says 45 million Filipinos have access to Facebook, which it notes gives them wider network in apprehending erring motorists. Aside from the DOTR and IAC, the Land Transportation Office, Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, PNP Highway Patrol Group, and Metropolitan Manila Development Authority will also participate in the monitoring and efforts to act on the complaints that would be sent in the hotline. Meanwhile, passengers and motorists have mixed reactions regarding the said hotline.
Oo, kasi minsan nakakainis din yung mga walang pakialam sa pasahero nila. Basta kumita na lang.
Sana wag nilang gawing biro. Wag nilang gawing biro na makakasakit doon sa mga operator na maapektuhan. Kung meron man silang nais na i-click para doon maisumbong, yung sanang totoo lang.
Yung magandang sumbong naman po nila. Mahirap naman yung magsusumbong sila tapos biglaan lang naman po na hindi namin alam.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Let's take a look at the traffic situation now along some major roads in Metro Manila. On 5th Avenue in C3, Caloocan City, vehicles are fast moving on the lane going to A. Bonifacio. The traffic is also green and go on the lane going to A. Mabini. On Alabang, Sapori Road, motorists are experiencing light flow of vehicles on the lane going to Ayala, Alabang and Las Piñas City. While motorists going to Muntinlupa and SLEX are also experiencing light traffic. The services of UNTV and MCGI volunteers have touched the hearts of our fellow men in need, not only here in the Philippines but in other countries as well. Here's why from Roby de Guzman.
30 children being accommodated in this dormitory in Railaco, Ermera, East Timor are persevering very hard to achieve their dreams, despite only having corn and sweet potatoes for a daily meal.
Ami helay Ami may balong may esforço diferente. Hahalok la hanesan. Balong may sina naman kia, balong ina naman mate, balong ina naman beliselo sira. Nemak dificulari balin sira. Iane etang ajuda mos, fulfulang hahang ina naman norimay, madre ho amo sermos ajuda sira. Para fulan. Obrigado.
To provide help to them, even in a small way, volunteers of UNTV and members Church of God International, or MCGI, donated school supplies, which they gladly accepted.
Primeiro, me agradece ba brother Eli, brother Daniel, babot firak nebeta bot fo. Me agradece ba caderno, lapizera, no buat sirasilutan, no mos bahahan. Obrigado barak brother.
This is the best time for me, and I feel so happy at myself that we can help for people here, especially for the children here.
Meanwhile, more than 500 Filipinos benefited from a free medical mission conducted by UNTV and MCGI in Hong Kong recently. Joy was obvious in the faces of the Filipinos who consulted for the medical conditions they are experiencing. These Filipinos seldom receive such free medical treatment from their employers in Hong Kong.
This is a very big blessing for us. We can invite some of our friends, especially sa mga ang kanilang amo is medyo madamo sa pagganit sa when it comes to medical, so we are invited them.
Laking tulong ho sa aming mga Pilipino, gaya din sa amin, malaking tulong ho para at least alam namin kung anong mga sakit namin, mga hinaing namin sa sarili namin. Oo, yeah, isa na yon, monitoring para sa sarili naming kalusugan. Mahirap ang trabaho dito.
Since most of them are women, they were very thankful to have a Filipino OB-GYN doctor who provided free medical services in the said medical mission.
Mabait po sila at saka friendly. Nandun yung tiwala kasi Pilipino ang nag-check up at saka confident ka na matutulungan ka nila in terms of medical.
Overall, UNTV and MCGI were able to serve a total of 542 overseas Filipino workers. Robbie De Guzman for Serbisyong Kasangbahay.
Next on Y News. The Armed Forces of the Philippines denies reports of the presence of 40 international terrorists in the country. And the local government of Aklan launches its 6-month action plan for the recovery of Boracay Island. Y News will be right back. Stay tuned for Angelo Caso III. I'm Darlene Basingan. Good evening.
On Y News tonight, Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III reveals an expected signing of bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwaiti governments in March. The Department of Trade and Industry warns of danger of substandard appliances as it inspects bargain centers in Raon, Manila. And the environmentalists encourage public to participate in Earth Hour activities in March. Good evening. The technical working group of the Kuwaiti government will arrive tomorrow in the Philippines to discuss with the Duterte administration the contents of the proposed bilateral agreement on OFW protection. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says the Philippines and Kuwait might sign the said agreement by March of this year. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III confirms in an interview on the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon that the technical working group sent by the Kuwaiti government will arrive in the Philippines tomorrow morning. The Labor Secretary says he is also set to visit Kuwait to ensure that the two countries will push for the implementation of a bilateral agreement that seeks to protect the rights and welfare of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in the Arab nation.
Bigyan ko yung team ko ng 2 days. In 2 days time tapusin yan, gusto naman nila, ako naman pupunta sa Kuwait. Sabi ko, sige pupunta ako, basta sigurado nyo lang hindi nyo ako plaplansyahin din.
Bello also ensures that the said bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwait will be signed next month.
So, we're expecting at least by March, malaman natin, pipirmahan nyo ba? Hindi.
Pipirmahan na namin. No? Magpapadala ba naman silang tao dito? Ano? Fairness, yung ambassador nila 3 beses nang pumunta sa opisina.
The labor chief notes he appreciates the effort of the Kuwaiti government to give justice to the death of killed OFW Joanna de Mafelis, especially now that the Philippine government has declared a total deployment ban on OFWs. He explains the president is also mandated not to lift the total deployment ban until there is no sure agreement between the two countries that should ensure the protection of Filipino migrant workers in the Gulf state.
Sa totoo lang, pag wala na yung mga Pilipino doon, maparalyze ang buong Kuwait. Natakot sila nung nagdeklara si Presidente ng total ban. Naku, nagdeklara agad sila ng amnesty.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Trade and Industry conducted a surprise inspection in Raon, Manila, where home appliances are sold at a cheaper price. Here's why from Joanano.
The personnel of the Department of Trade and Industry or DTI conducted another inspection in several appliance stores in Raon in Manila today. This after it received a complaint that some of the appliances being sold there did not undergo product safety inspections. The agency examined one by one the on-display TV, DVD players, speakers, and other appliances to determine if they have proper and the correct markings or label. The DTI also discovered that some of the products have no import commodity and product standard sticker.
Ito ay pwedeng maging sanhi na kapahamakan ng ating mga pamilya. Siyempre, hindi natin masasabi ang wattage nito kung adaptable sa ating mga bahay at baka maging sanhi ng sakuna. At yung kalidad din siyempre po niya, dapat pumasa siya.
The DTI also did an inventory on the said appliances and temporarily confiscated them to determine if they are substandard. Meanwhile, the agency conducted inspections at several supermarkets to determine if they follow the suggested retail price or SRP. DTI inspected, among others, the prices of powdered and canned milk, sardines, meatloaf, and noodles. Based on DTI's analysis, the existing tax reform law has no impact yet on the prices of major commodities.
Hindi po ganong kalaki ang epekto nito sa ating mga basic necessities and prime commodities product. Kasi meron lamang pong limited items na nasasaklawan nito.
Despite this, the DTI vows to continuously monitor price movements to ensure that no businessman will attempt to take unfair advantage of the prices of commodities. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Mayon Crisis Management Team prepares the 4 towns of Albay now that the onset of the rainy season is drawing near. Joanano is back to tell us why.
The possible flowing of lahar from around the Mayon volcano during the onset of the rainy season might hit 26 barangays in 4 towns of the province of Albay. According to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, the volcanic materials deposited around the Mayon volcano might reach 90 cubic meters. And once the rainy season comes, it might flow in the towns of Ginobatan, Camalig, Daraga, and Santo Domingo. This is why as early as now, the Mayon Crisis Management Team has been asking officials of the said towns to prepare disaster plans in the event of a lahar flow.
Ganitong kaaga pa lang pagplanuhan na ito.
Officials of the Office of the Civil Defense, DENR, DOH, DSWD, and DPWH are among those who will outline the disaster plan. The mayors target to submit their respective plans by next week. Meanwhile, PHIVOLCS has recorded in the past 24 hours 2 incidents of lava fountaining as high as 150 meters and steam plumes reaching 100 to 600 meters high. The agency also recorded 7 lava collapse or pyroclastic density currents or USON, 128 volcanic earthquakes, and 12 rock events. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Environmentalists encourage the public to participate in this year's Earth Hour activities. Leslie Dongboen will tell us why.
Worldwide Fund for Nature and other environmentalists call on Filipinos to join Earth Hour 2018 with the theme Connect to Earth. This year's Earth Hour will tackle biodiversity in a changing climate.
So much loss. In fact, it's projected that there will be a decline in biodiversity to as much as 67% if we're not able to halt it by 2020.
On March 24, everyone is encouraged to switch off their lights from 8:30 to 9:30 in the evening as a sign of commitment to help address environmental problems. This is the 10th year since the Philippines took part in the Earth Hour.
A lot has happened. A lot of cities and municipalities have become more aware of the impacts of climate change and in fact how they can be able to address it.
Apart from the switch-off event, exhibits, cultural performances, and other activities that carry messages to take care of the planet will be held in the Cultural Center of the Philippines. Leslie Loboan, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Hundreds of resort and commercial establishment owners, non-government organizers, and other stakeholders convene in a dialogue with local government officials of Malay in Boracay. Here's why from Monokson.
The local government of Aklan presented its 6-month action plan for the rehabilitation of Boracay. This is in response to President Rodrigo Duterte's directive to clean the once prestigious island. During a dialogue with various stakeholders today, Malay officials explained the 6-month Boracay action plan, which states the repair of the drainage system, water treatment facilities, as well as the steps it will take to address overconstruction of facilities, pollution, and overcrowding in the said tourist destination. Due to the rising number of establishments and tourists visiting the island, the population of its workers is also growing. Based on the figures of the Malay LGU, 62% of the population of Boracay are cramming in the small island. This results into more land and water waste daily. Alongside the increase of the population is the increase in the number of new structures, of which local officials note many have failed to follow standards. The Malay LGU also urges participation and unity among stakeholders to ensure the successful rehabilitation of the premier tourist destination of the country. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines Western Mindanao Command denies being the source of the information that 40 foreign terrorists entered the Philippines. Leslie Longbowen will tell us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines Western Mindanao Command or AFP Westmincom denies receiving information that dozens of foreign terrorists were able to recently enter the country. This has been the clarification made by Westmincom after Philippine National Police or PNP Chief Ronald Bato de la Rosa announced yesterday that they would go after foreign terrorists currently in the Philippine territory.
Yung report kasi about foreign terrorists na about 40 yung nakapasok was declared by the former Chief of Staff AFP sometime in June last year pa yan. During po sa kasagsagan ng Marawi siege.
Westmincom believes that some of the terrorists have been killed already in previous military operations or have been among those arrested by the PNP in Manila for having connections with the terror group Islamic State or ISIS. Nevertheless, the AFP continues to validate the whereabouts of the remaining terrorists in the Philippines. Westmincom also says it is prepared in the event the followers of Marwan retaliates following the arrest of his wife Joromi Dongon and his siblings. Joromi Dongon also became the wife of former Abu Sayyaf group top leader Gaddafi Janjalani.
Kasi itong pamilyang to, lalong-lalo na yung si Joromi Dongon, ay obviously talagang may linya ito, may connection associated siya sa mga terorista.
Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
NPA rebels set free 6 ranch employees the group abducted in San Francisco, Quezon Province. Here's why from Bernard Daddy.
6 workers of a ranch in Barangay Tumbaga, San Francisco, Quezon were abducted by alleged members of the New People's Army or NPA at around 6 last night. However, the kidnapped suspects immediately released the victims the next day.
Wala pang report kung nagkaroon ng negotiation o kung paano. But initially, pinakawalan din sila ng mga bandang May 13 ng gabi.
Among those kidnapped were 2 members of the Citizens Armed Forces Geographical Unit or CAFGU assigned in Barangay Huyon-Huyon. Around 50 to 60 rebels stormed the ranch, which is owned by the family of a certain James Murray. The said ranch is located inside the so-called Hacienda Belt in the Bondok Peninsula, where many NPA members are believed to be hiding. This is the 3rd time suspected members of the armed group stormed the said ranch. Soldiers are still patrolling around the area. Bernard Daddies, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The operatives from the Philippine National Police Drug Enforcement Group raided a high-end condominium unit in BGC in Taguig City early today. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Group or the PNP-DEG seized 8 sachets of marijuana, suspected shabu and cocaine worth 100,000 pesos in a condo unit of a 31-year-old yoga instructor in BGC Taguig.
You guys are something else. You really want to ruin my life and my daughter's life, even if there's nothing there? Grabe kayo, guys! Grabe kayo! There is nothing there. Okay.
The PNP-DEG says the yoga instructor was under surveillance for a long period now for selling illegal drugs in events and concerts. She is also a friend of the drag queen Karen Bordador, who was arrested last year in Taguig for selling ecstasy.
We have information to believe that the subject, Marie Stephanie Arans, is been involved in proliferation of drugs during events, yung mga high-ends na mga club, nag-distribute sila ng drugs.
Attorney Rigor says a drug syndicate is behind the suspect in her drug selling activities, which she does using Transport Network Vehicle Services or TNVS.
She frequently rode a habal-habal, and that habal-habal was used to deliver, and at one point it was during our surveillance na-picturean talaga na drugs were being delivered kay Stephanie.
The said yoga instructor is charged with violation of Republic Act 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Her 3-year-old daughter is placed under the custody of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Wildcard winner Princess Sevillana considers her wishcovery journey exciting. Leslie Longboen will tell us why.
Last night was Wishcovery Grand Finalist Princess Sevillana's turn to shine. Princess is Metro Manila's representative in the upcoming Grand Finals. Makati's rising diva successfully came back to the competition after winning the wildcard round.
Yung whole journey ko, exciting talaga eh. Diba? Parang binigyan ako ni Lord ng magpahinga ka muna. Kasi bibigyan kita isang malaking blessing. So, talagang I thank the Lord for giving me a chance to step up again and to sing again and to experience this all.
Supporters of Princess believe their bet deserves to be the first Wishcovery winner.
Kaya dapat siyang manalo dahil pinakita niya ang best niya at pinatunayan niya ang sarili niya sa lahat.
Meanwhile, Wish 1075 again granted some wishes as part of its Thanksgiving to its 2 million YouTube subscribers.
Blood pressure kit para po sa lola ko. Kasi lagi po siyang high blood. Yung pagpunta-punta namin dun sa hospital, pamasahe na rin kasi yung pagtingin ng blood pressure kit niya kaya ko nang gawin.
Mababawasan na yung gastusin namin. Kaya malaking tulong.
After the hometown tour, the Wishful Five are now preparing for the Grand Finals in March. Leslie Longboen, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Up next on Y News. Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano files indefinite leave to prepare for the impeachment trial in Senate. And Malacanang reiterates that the Duterte administration still bars UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Calamard from investigating its war on drugs campaign. Stay tuned for William Theo. I'm Angelo Castro III, and this is Y News. Good evening.
Here are the headlines on Y News Tonight. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III reveals an unexpected signing of bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwaiti governments in March. The Bureau of Internal Revenue reveals that Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano incurs 2 million peso tax deficiency in years 2005 and 2009. And United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls on new global effort to get rid of nuclear weapons. Good evening. The technical working group of the Kuwaiti government will arrive tomorrow in the Philippines to discuss with the Duterte administration the contents of the proposed bilateral agreement of OFW protection. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III says the Philippines and Kuwait might sign the said agreement by March of this year. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE Secretary Silvestre Bello III confirms in an interview on the program Get It Straight with Daniel Raon that the technical working group sent by the Kuwaiti government will arrive in the Philippines tomorrow morning. The Labor Secretary says he is also set to visit Kuwait to ensure that the two countries will push for the implementation of a bilateral agreement that seeks to protect the rights and welfare of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in the Arab nation.
Binigyan ko yung team ko ng 2 days. In 2 days time tapusin yan, gusto naman nila, ako naman pupunta sa Kuwait. Sabi ko, sige pupunta ako basta sigurado nyo lang hindi nyo ako plaplansyahin din.
Bello also ensures that the said bilateral agreement between the Philippines and Kuwait will be signed next month.
So, we're expecting at least by March, malaman natin, pipirmahan nyo ba? Hindi.
Pipirmahan na namin. No? Magpapadala ba naman silang tao dito kung ano? Fairness, yung Yung ambassador nila, 3 beses nang pumunta sa opisina.
The labor chief notes he appreciates the effort of the Kuwaiti government to give justice to the death of killed OFW Joanna Demafelis, especially now that the Philippine government has declared a total deployment ban on OFWs. He explains the president is also mandated not to lift the total deployment ban until there is no sure agreement between the two countries that should ensure the protection of Filipino migrant workers in the Gulf state.
Sa totoo lang, pag wala na yung mga Pilipino doon, maparalyze ang buong Kuwait. Natakot sila nung nagdeklara si Presidente ng total ban. Naku, nagdeklara agad sila ng amnesty.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry conducted a surprise inspection in Raon, Manila, where home appliances are sold at cheaper prices. Here's why from Joanna.
The personnel of the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, conducted another inspection in several appliance stores in Raon in Manila today. This after it received a complaint that some of the appliances being sold there did not undergo product safety inspections. The agency examined one by one the on-display TV, DVD players, speakers, and other appliances to determine if they have proper and the correct markings or label. The DTI also discovered that some of the products have no import commodity and product standard sticker.
Ito ay pwedeng maging sanhi na kapahamakan ng ating mga pamilya. Siyempre, hindi natin masasabi ang wattage nito o adaptable sa ating mga bahay at baka maging sanhi ng sakuna. At yung kalidad din siyempre po niya, dapat pumasa siya.
The DTI also did an inventory on the said appliances and temporarily confiscated them to determine if they are substandard. Meanwhile, the agency conducted inspections at several supermarkets to determine if they follow the suggested retail price or SRP. DTI inspected, among others, the prices of powdered and canned milk, sardines, meatloaf, and noodles. Based on DTI's analysis, the existing tax reform law has no impact yet on the prices of major commodities.
Hindi po ganong kalaki ang epekto nito sa ating mga basic necessities and prime commodities product kasi meron lamang po limited items na nasasaklawan nito.
Despite this, the DTI vows to continuously monitor price movements to ensure that no businessman will attempt to take unfair advantage of the prices of commodities. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
In other news, the Bureau of Internal Revenue has presented alleged discrepancies in the taxes filed by Chief Justice Lourdes Serrano from 2005 to 2009. Grace Casin will tell us why.
It is the last hearing of the Committee on the Impeachment Raps filed against Supreme Court Chief Justice Lourdes Serrano. After the hearing, the committee members will vote on the approval of the complaint before sending it to the plenary. The Revenue Bureau says the Chief Magistrate has failed to pay 2 million peso worth of taxes from the years 2005 to 2009. BIR Deputy Commissioner Arnel Goballa says the 2 million peso tax discrepancy is based on their computations on the income of CJ Serrano when she was still a lawyer before entering government service. The agency claims the tax discrepancy is aside from the 6 other violations committed by the Chief Justice. BIR belies that the Chief Justice earned only 30 million pesos in the Piatco case she handled. It says Serrano earned 32 million pesos.
At this point in time, is she still committing that crime of tax evasion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Meanwhile, the doctors who conducted the examinations on her asked for an executive session when the issue that CJ Serrano failed in a psychiatric and psychological test came out. The committee targets to finish today the investigation on the impeachment complaint filed against the Chief Justice, after which the lawmakers will prepare the committee report that they will vote in their next deliberations. Once it gets a majority vote from the members of the committee, it will then be submitted to the plenary. The committee needs 1/3 or 99 votes to impeach Chief Justice Serrano in the lower house. In the plenary, the lawmakers will elect the members of a prosecution team that will be led by Impeachment Committee Chairman Reynaldo Umali. They will then write the articles of impeachment that they will submit to the Senate Impeachment Court for the conduct of a formal trial. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano has filed an indefinite leave of absence from the Supreme Court. Here's why from Grace Casa.
Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Serrano will go on indefinite leave starting March 1. According to her spokesperson, Attorney Jojo Lacanilao, this is to give the Chief Justice time to prepare for the Senate impeachment trial. Lacanilao also admits that Serrano was supposed to go on a wellness leave that's set on March 12 to 23. But the Chief Justice decided to file a leave on March 1 to 15. He adds that the Chief Justice is ready to face trial and assures that she is not going to resign.
She's filing a leave na na-file na rin naman niya beforehand, ina-advance lang niya. Okay? Now, CJ Serrano will be using this to actually prepare for the Senate trial. If she needs more time, and if it's for the interest of the Supreme Court or the Philippines or the country, let her make that decision.
Meanwhile, House Impeachment Committee Chairman Reynaldo Umali says he received an information that Serrano did not voluntarily file her leave of absence. Instead, it was the SCN Bank who decided for the Chief Justice to take a leave indefinitely.
Ba yung lumalabas sa bibig niya or bibig ng kanyang mga spokesperson, pati yata yung mga spokesperson, nahawa na sa kasinungalingan ng wellness leave. It is indefinite leave, and I hate to say it, this was because the unbanked forced her into it.
On the other hand, complainant Attorney Larry Gadon believes Serrano must resign. He adds that if the Chief Justice will not resign, he will file charges against some SC officials who have previously appeared in the impeachment committee, whom the lawyer believes conspired on the irregularities that Serrano did.
Mag-resign ka na kasi nadadamay na yung iba eh.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The consultative committee tasked to review the 1987 Constitution today has chosen the presidential model of federal government. The committee voted 11-7 in favor of presidential system over the hybrid or semi-presidential form. Among those who voted for the presidential system were retired Supreme Court Chief Justice Renato Puno and retired SC Justices Antonio Eduardo Nachura and Bienvenido Reyes. The proposed new constitution will be drafted based on this model. The majority of the committee said the Filipinos were more familiar with the presidential system and making radical changes in the current setup might lead to confusion. The closest model of the presidential federal government is the United States of America. Meanwhile, the Philippine government is willing to be investigated on the anti-drug war of the administration, but not by United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial or Summary Execution Agnes Caramard. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The current United Nations Special Rapporteur on Extrajudicial or Summary Execution Agnes Calamard is not objective, says Malacanang. This is the reason why the government will not allow her to visit the country and investigate on the drug-related killings.
The fact that there is no way that Agnes Calamard can be allowed to investigate in the Philippines proves that she has failed in this regard.
The official made a statement after Iceland Foreign Affairs Minister Gudlagur Thordarson appealed to the Philippines before a Human Rights Council regular session on February 26 to accept without conditions or limitations the visit from the Special Rapporteur and cooperate on an assessment about the anti-drug war. However, Roque said no country can compel the Philippines to allow an investigation if it does not want to do so. Roque will also recommend a rapporteur to the president who can conduct an investigation on the anti-drug war.
Of course, the statement of the Iceland ambassador is an expression of his home state, but it's an expression that we don't have to heed.
Yesterday, in his speech in Davao City, President Rodrigo Duterte stood firm that his anti-drug war will continue until the last day of his term, whether or not he will be investigated even by the International Criminal Court or ICC.
It will proceed and it would last until the day
of the last day of my term. Pag maghinto ako dito, considering the drugs that are flowing in the country by sea, they are just throwing it, the bins, the plastic bins with a GPS.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Cherry blossoms, popular in Japan and its neighboring South Korea, is now also attracting tourists and congesting traffic in Taiwan. Why? Here's Amiel Pascual.
One of the most visited events by local and foreign tourists at this time of the year in Taiwan is the Young Mission Flower Festival. Last year's highest recorded tourist arrival reached 1.3 million, and the Taipei City Tourism Bureau is expecting more arrival this year. The most popular cherry blossom viewing is at Uling National Park, where visitors enjoy the pink blossoms with a treat of snowy cold weather. The local tourism agencies have encouraged the public to take public transportation when going to the event venues to avoid traffic congestions and possible delays. Meanwhile, here at Tai'an, a free bus is provided by the Taichung Tourism Bureau for visitors arriving at the Tai'an train station going to the cherry blossoms. The free bus ride travels every 12 to 15 minutes. Thousands of tourists have arrived since the event opened in February 24.
Ang ganda niya, in fairness. Wala kasi yan sa Pinas. Pag season lang niya, nadayo kami dito.
Magaganda kasi wala naman ito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Kaya dinayo namin. Total wala naman pasok.
Over 100 cherry blossom trees are planted here, and according to the Taichung Tourism Bureau, this type of cherry blossoms are called Yazakura, or double cherry trees. The flowers are expected to be in full bloom until mid-March, and selfie addicts will surely enjoy taking pictures with the beautiful pot-of-bomber trees free of charge. Mel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taichung, Taiwan.
And those are the reasons behind the news of February 27, 2018. I am William Theo, and because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.